I'm more than a rare exception, you can't compare him. I'm fly as Tuskegee Airman. My patience is as thin as her pins. You find a sucker cat that's talking smack and I'll just dare him. Come at me sideways attacking, I'm pushing back.
January the 20th, 2024, it is Martin Luther King Day / Inauguration Day, and they had an episode of Monday Night Raw, which you could have skipped, and you wouldn't have missed nothing. As usual, third week in a row for Raw on Netflix. We're getting into a groove here where they're just going to decide, hey, we're going to throw some guys out there. They're going to work a 20-minute match. Nothing's on the line, so hopefully you just like watching wrestling matches, which some people do. I do. But come on, you got to cut me some slack. There's got to be something to be gained or won or lost in these situations and not just matches for the sake of. My God, enough of that. Not much in the way of news and notes at this moment, but we're going to get directly into the show. Jey Uso comes out and he has the longest entrance of all time. You think Undertaker entrances were long? Jey Uso entrances, they're basically jazzercise Richard Simmons workouts. He's out there forever. No wonder he's blown up. Like the Ultimate Warrior would run to the ring and be blown up, right? He doesn't even run to the ring, but he's just jumping around and doing the hand wave so much. He needs oxygen after this. I mean, my Lord, he's out there forever. I get it. You know, I really do. Entrances are a big, big part of WWE's presentation. I will never take it away. Unlike one of those dorks over at Voices of Wrestling who like, if I was running a wrestling company, I'd get rid of all the entrances. If you want to see entrances so bad, you have to buy a ticket. Like, come on, what the hell is wrong with you? You have to actually show people what they're missing. People want to be in the building and do the yeet hand waves. That's what they want to. If they see 10,000 people doing it, they want to go out there and do it too. If they never actually see it, why would they actually do it? This is stupid. You want everything to be like 1980s, territory wrestling where the guys are already in the ring and they just raise their hand and they have their regular white t-shirt on or whatever. These guys are ridiculous. I mean, they really are. They're certifiable. Anyway, Jey Uso's entrance, it lasts forever. He's got Undertaker beat at this point. But Gunther interrupts almost immediately. Says that he was looking forward to their match at Saturday night's main event, and then he saw Jey Uso acting like a dork. Said that he's the company mascot. He never follows up on his words, and his words and actions do never align. And he's going to expose him as a flash in the pan. Jey admitted that everything that Gunther has said has been true. Again, that he is a mascot, and the crowd is his team, is his squad. And then he says, only one of us has main event at WrestleMania, and it ain't you. And then they started to fight. And they ended up being separated. So they're setting up this match as Saturday night's main event. Again, I struggle to care about this. I don't think I do. It might be a fun match. Jey is super over. He's very sympathetic. People want to see him win. But I just don't see it happening. Also, there's just forever interruptions on this show. Only certain people get to ever finish a promo on this show, and it's rare that somebody ever gets to finish a promo on here. JBL had a backstage segment with the New Day, where the New Day claimed that they were the victims of a smear campaign, and that JBL knows all about getting rid of dead weight. JBL then joked about how he understands that they don't want Big E around because all that charisma and all those muscles, they should be talking about him. Even though Kofi tried to pay him off, which he said was $2. Then Kofi says that JBL had gone soft. JBL then did commentary as Rey Mysterio and Kofi Kingston worked the main event of WrestleMania for what it felt like. They were out there for a good 15 minutes. Why would Kofi Kingston and wrestle Rey Mysterio for 15 minutes? Why does that ever need to happen? I remember when these matches was going on in 2009. They were for the Intercontinental title, and they still weren't this goddamn long. All right? There was nothing to be gained and nothing to be lost. Why are these matches so long? And I'm not even saying it was a bad match. It was actually a pretty good match. Especially for Kofi. But my word, you're eating up a lot of time for no good reason. Anyway, Kofi got beat with a roll-up, which was a pretty good finish. Afterwards, of course, New Day jumped Rey Mysterio and the LWO saved him, which led to the New Day fleeing. Okay, everything's fine. Bayley, oh my God, we're on Bayley overdose here, because Bayley is now on Raw. She announced it, and then she announced herself for the Royal Rumble. And if you are trying to overcome your overdose of Bayley, well, here comes your weekly injection, your first of 2 weekly injections of Nia Jax. Because if you weren't sick of Bayley, then you got to be sick of Nia Jax. And of course, she's going to be in the Royal Rumble. She plans to win it and fight Tiffany Stratton. I don't want to see either one of those matches happen. Then Bayley wrestled Nia Jax in another match that went on for a good 10 to 12 minutes. And Bayley ended up losing to the Annihilator. But Bayley did have an angle during the show where Roxanne Perez was at ringside and was barking at her. And she had gotten her face on Friday. So this time, Bayley popped Roxanne, and Roxanne ended up knocking over a fan as she tried to jump the barricade and was held back by security. Then she got ejected, which was really funny. Anyway, Nia Jax wins. After that, Rhea Ripley attacked Nia Jax. Apparently, Nia Jax attacked Rhea Ripley before the show, so this is leading to them brawling. Nia Jax is brawling with Rhea Ripley. She jumps off the desk. I'm talking about Rhea Ripley jumping off the desk. They're separated. Rhea Ripley gets on the microphone, challenges Nia Jax to a match at Saturday night's main event. And I am officially tired of every single person that appeared in this segment. Every single person. I'm tired of Rhea. I'm tired of Nia. I'm just so tired of Nia, I don't know what to do. And I'm super tired of Bayley. Holy fucking shit. You mean to tell me that you had an entire division on Raw and you decide, I'm going to bring the stalest parts of SmackDown to Raw to do the same thing they were doing on SmackDown? That's what Triple H decided to do. Instead of pushing somebody from Raw who was already on that brand, he decided to bring over Bayley and Nia Jax. Tell me again that Triple H is doing the most with his roster, that he's a good booker. He's not elevating anybody. He's just taking these same pieces and moving them to the other side of the board. Are you serious? Are you serious? So now we have to deal with an excessive amount of Bayley and Nia Jax because you kept Dakota Kai on the roster and then didn't use her. Because you don't want to use Sonya Deville. Because you don't think she'll be a threat in order to, push her. You don't want to use Zelina Vega. You don't want to use all these people. Why do you have these people if you don't want to use them? Why aren't you bringing up somebody from NXT to use then? What's happening? Why is this happening? This is brain dead. Absolutely stupid. Pure stupidity. Chad Gable claims that he's going to consult with Dominic to figure out a master of Lucha Libre so that he can overcome his luchador problem. The Creed brothers want to be the tag team champions. Ivy Nile, for some reason, doesn't want to be the women's world champion. She instead wants to be the women's intercontinental champion, which is fine. But the women's world championship is wide open. It's just wide open. But, it is what it is. As Judgment Day is on week 38, maybe even week 66 of them arguing amongst each other. This time Finn Balor doesn't appear. Chad Gable once again approaches Dominic to figure out what's going on. How can he solve the issues of Lucha Libre? And so Dominic gives him the name of someone, to which Chad Gable says he has gone off to now solve and to master the dark arts of Lucha Libre. And because Finn Balor has disappeared, they don't know where he is, Dominic is volunteered to take his spot in the tag team championship match. That's actually going to be next week, which leads the question, how do we know that he's not going to be there next week? He's just not there this week. Did they think about that? They think Finn was automatically going to take 2 weeks off? Whatever. Now, this led to a lot of people saying, what's going to happen with this situation with Chad Gable? Some people are saying, okay, clearly they're introducing something or somebody when it comes to Chad Gable. Some people think it's an Aleister Black because him and Zelina have a school called Dark Arts. Some people think that it's going to be Conan because, I don't know, Lucha Libre, I guess. I don't know why it would be Conan. They haven't used Conan on TV in forever. Why would they start using Conan on TV? And I don't understand why it would be Malachi or Aleister Black because he's not a luchador. I mean, he uses high-flying moves and stuff, but he's not like a luchador or anything. I don't know. And Zelina Vega's a babyface. So why would she help Chad Gable? I don't know what the answer to these questions are. I'm intrigued a little bit because there aren't any heel luchadors in WWE, especially any masked ones. Could it be Santos Escobar? Could it be Andrade? Who knows? But it's interesting. At the same time, this Chad Gable has a problem with luchadors gimmick. It just seemingly came out of nowhere. And I guess it's something for him to do. You know, it's a reason for him to have good matches, I guess. And maybe they'll introduce somebody in this story, but we'll have to see. All right, Sami Zayn cut a promo, and he enters the Rumble. Says that he was told by Seth Rollins to do something that he wanted to do something for himself. And he says the 14-year-old version of himself wants the WWE Championship. Then he also says that he doesn't feel like he needs it to complete him, but he wants it. But the most important thing is he says that he feels like he's on the upper echelon of WWE. He's in the top 4 or 5 guys. Feels like he's in their class. The John Cena's, the Roman Reigns, the CM Punks. The only difference is those guys have had world titles while he hasn't. And then, of course, later he gets kicked in the nuts by CM Punk. Not literally, figuratively. When CM Punk said that Sami Zayn wasn't on his level. So it seems like that's the direction that they're going to be going into. Probably CM Punk versus Sami Zayn at some point. Which I don't think they've had a match in WWE. No, they didn't have any matches in WWE. That could be fun, you know. But Sami Zayn cut a very fiery babyface promo. It was actually pretty good. I have always said that Sami Zayn, since he developed a voice, he comes across kind of Daniel Bryan-ish. But it's quite good because, you know, Daniel Bryan's not there anymore. So they need somebody to do that role. He has this mixture of Daniel Bryan and Mick Foley that kind of works for him. He looks like an everyman. He's about the size of an everyman. And he cuts regular everyday promos, you know, so I don't mind that. He is interrupted, of course, because there's always interruption in promos, by Kevin Owens, who is wearing an absolutely cool Bret the Hitman Hart jacket. I gotta give the guy's credit. He is a slob usually, but he's looking very stylish in that Hitman jacket. How much he paid for it. He talked about Sami Zayn being forgiving, that he forgave him, he forgave Roman, and believes that Sami Zayn will win the Royal Rumble, and says that he wants to main event WrestleMania against Sami Zayn, one-on-one. And he says that because Sami Zayn is such a great guy, he believes that Sami will have his back, and that Sami will be there for him if he needs him. In other words, he wants Sami Zayn to agree or to help him win the title. And then perhaps he will help Sami win the Royal Rumble. This is all implied, right? You know, saying that Sami deserves to win the Royal Rumble and he's got Sami's back and that he wants Sami to have his back. Now, nice pivot from Kevin Owens being a psycho and being mad that he teamed up with Roman. They pivoted from that by saying, oh, you're a forgiving guy. You forgive me for all the things that I did. So, yeah, I would understand why you would forgive Roman. Because that's also a sensible position to go in. And Kevin Owens trying to use Sami Zayn. It's pretty fun. I can't be mad at that. Sami Zayn later got into Seth Rollins' face, and they, basically talked about throwing each other out of the Royal Rumble. I mean, who cares about any of that crap? Sheamus cut a promo saying that he had the greatest career, but he had it backwards. He won the WWE title 6 months into his run, but said that he's been chasing the Intercontinental Championship for 5 years. It was the title that brought him to the WWE. Braun Breaker got into his face, said he was going to break Sheamus, and said Sheamus should retire. And then the part that I didn't like, and that is that Sheamus shoved Braun Breaker, who did not do anything. He shoved him, and then Braun Breaker just kind of stayed away from him. Kind of laughed, like, chuckled at him or whatever. But, no, I didn't like that. He put his hands on him. That wasn't a fan. If Sheamus would have walked away, I'd have been fine with that. If Braun Breaker would have walked away, okay, cool. But he shoved him. Braun should have, at least threw him into the wall or something. Just something to establish some level of dominance here. But they didn't, so because they're lame. They're punks. They're sissies. There was a Lyra Valkyria vignette talking about the Women's Intercontinental Championship. That was fine. There was a Logan Paul vignette. I was surprised that on the day of him popping up at the inauguration, they actually had a vignette for Logan Paul. Like, oh my goodness. That didn't rub that. That one rubbed people the wrong way. Speaking of which, there was a kid in the crowd dressed like Donald Trump, which was hilarious. It was pretty funny. And he was easily noticeable because when Penta wrestled Pete Dunne, Penta actually did his little hand sign with the kid that was dressed like Donald Trump. That's the fact that Penta probably didn't even notice that or care is what makes him very cool. Now, Penta did have a match with Pete Dunne that was a pretty lengthy match. Again, why is this match so long? But this is Penta trying hard part 2. Again, Penta probably has not worked very hard in wrestling matches in a long time. So him going back to back with great efforts, I find it very impressive. This match with Pete Dunne was a cracker too. It was pretty good. On the Mexican Destroyer spot, Pete Dunne actually did the smarter thing by rolling out of the ring. After taking it directly on his head, he kind of rolled out of the ring. So it didn't bother with kicking out of it. He just kind of escaped, the likely outcome of being pinned. I don't know why Penta feel the need to have Penta go 50-50 with these underneath guys. And Pete Dunne is absolutely an underneath guy. But the crowd really got into it. The crowd was chanting for him. The crowd is cheering for him. Whatever they're doing is working. So Penta wins again with the Penta driver after the sacrifice. Everything worked out well. So I was interested in Lucha Blog's reaction to Penta being in WWE, and I actually read his article on it. Found out that he didn't watch it. At least I don't think he watched it. And he said he doesn't watch WWE, doesn't care, and said that. But I found it very interesting that he said that WWE is lucky to have Penta because he's been a top-level pro wrestler for a decade. And that it's not that Penta is lucky to be in WWE, it's the other way around. And I thought that was very nice of him to say. That was very nice of him to say. And I get it. When you are a fan of Lucha Libre, and this guy is a top-level star in Lucha Libre. I mean, he just is. In his home country, he's a magnificent star. But in this country, he has never been in any way promoted the way that WWE has promoted him these last 2 weeks. Putting him on this level, this fast. I mean, the new fireworks they just gave him is phenomenal. Everything is tremendous. Everything is clicking right now. I don't see why, if you are... Now maybe this is just the jaded Lucha fans. They're kind of like, he's going to be on speed in a couple of weeks. Look at what happened to Dragon Lee. There was like 4 days of that last week. And apparently Dragon Lee's wife just had a baby. So that's why he hasn't been around. But there was like 3 or 4 days of WWE's got Dragon Lee and they don't do anything with him. which is all very much true. And then something I've been yelling about for, a year? I've been yelling about that for a year now. So people are just now catching on to my little channel and my really, really bad takes, I guess. In any event, I was very interested in how people who are big fans of Lucha Libre see Penta. And the fact that so many of them are jaded and cynical tells the story. And a lot of that comes from the fact that the luchadors have not been produced and treated very well in the United States in general. Not only they haven't been really promoted that well in AEW, which is actually a promotion that would favor luchadors even more. And they have that official partnership with CMLL, and they still don't promote luchadors that very well. TNA, which also had a relationship with AAA, they don't seemingly promote luchadors very well. I mean, Laredo Kid does nothing but jobs in TNA. And when Black Taurus, when he was working there, he did nothing but jobs. Black Taurus is the same guy who was the Beast Mordos in AEW. He does nothing but jobs. And basically, they have come to the conclusion that American wrestling companies will never promote luchadors appropriately. So there is some conversation about another luchador, El Hijo del Wagner III. El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. III. He's the son of Dr. Wagner, I think. It's hard with these fucking names, but apparently he's like some kind of big level Mexican star that WWE is apparently in conversation with and looking to bring in. I don't know much about this one. I usually know a little bit about the luchadors, at least. I don't know anything about this guy. But a lot of their cynicism comes from just looking at the history of how luchadors are treated in the United States. And I have to say, I agree. Like everything is going swimmingly with Penta right now, but in a year, what? In 2 years, what? In 3 years, what? Especially as Penta starts to get used to the schedule and he's no longer the new guy. And especially once Phoenix comes in, what kind of career is he going to have at that point? Because right now, it's looking like Penta's about ready to be the Intercontinental Champion. I mean, he's super fucking over. And he's undefeated. And maybe a couple of more wins. He's talking about challenging for titles at that point. Or at least getting involved with some kind of feud. Now, you could keep doing these showcase matches for a little while. 1 or 2 of them are not bad. Maybe 3 or 4. But after that, you got to start talking about doing storyline stuff. And that's where the challenge is going to be. Is whether he's going to be good in a storyline. Which, Triple H doesn't really do storylines anyway. He basically just put matches together. So I'm guessing we're just going to sit around and wait for Penta to get in the ring with Andrade. Or Rey Mysterio. Or, Santos Escobar or somebody like that, right? Unfortunately. Alright, CM Punk cut a promo. It was a fantastic promo, too. Very fiery. He came out there and says that he is a maker of history. He's going to do it again by winning the Royal Rumble. And said that nobody can beat him when he's at his best and these people have his back. He said these guys who have already entered the Rumble, like John Cena, can't see John Cena throwing him over the top rope. He said Roman Reigns needed his help to finish some family business. Sami Zayn, don't talk to him about Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is not on his level. Then said that you could even put Hulk Hogan in the Royal Rumble. He'll throw his dusty ass over the top rope and kill Hulkamania. And then said that he will be settling scores and calling in favors. And I was like, okay, this is a hell of a promo from Phillip. This was good. Even the cheap shot at Hulk Hogan, which feels very off the cuff, but the crowd liked it. They were 100% in on that. Brown nose into the audience a little bit with the shot at Hulk Hogan. I'm not going to be upset about it. I mean, it is what it is. I remember Mustafa Ali did a similar thing where, he did a little shot at Hulk Hogan back when he was the leader of Retribution, But it was a great promo from CM Punk. Good job. And I kind of believe that he should win the Rumble. I'm in favor of it. I've been sitting back a couple of weeks now Not even a couple of weeks. That's an exaggeration. A couple of days. And I've seen people talk about the 2025 Royal Rumble being probably the best Royal Rumble since 1992. Oh, look at the star power that's going to be in it, and look at all the build-up they got to have. And I'm like, man, the Royal Rumble is the same match every year. All the guys have the same motivation to win the title and main event WrestleMania, and win the Royal Rumble match is the best way to do that. So the idea that everybody's trying to, blow smoke up Triple H's ass like he's doing such a great job. Like the great benefit that he's got, though, is having big stars in it. Because sometimes that's the weakness of the Royal Rumble, is there's not a lot of guys in it that can believably win. And 92, and there's a couple of other years. I think 2020 was another really good one where there was a lot of guys in the match who could believably win, or that the match was structured appropriately and it was a really good match. I think 2016 was another one that was still pretty solid. But some of the more recent Royal Rumbles have not been great. Basically because they went away from the formula, which is, surprises, somebody being the Iron Man, somebody being, the multiple plots that they would have in the Royal Rumble match. This one, they're actually building up multiple plots. There's multiple antagonists and protagonists in the thing, and there's going to be several plots in there as well. And some sympathetic favorites, and CM Punk is one of them. I think he's a good choice to win the match. I don't want to have Cena win it because Cena doesn't need to win it. And I think there's more of a story in Cena getting jobbed out of it, maybe being the last guy eliminated due to some kind of outside interference or something like that. That probably would be a better story to tell. But the idea that CM Punk is going to be calling in favors, my question to that is his favor going to be something in relation to getting a good spot in the Royal Rumble? Or is his favor going to be maybe having Roman step aside for something? It's going to be something interesting. And I don't think it's going to have much to do with the Royal Rumble. I expect him to win that match outright, however. But still, I don't think 2025 is going to be as great as 1992, because the title was on the line in 1992. So, it's hard to beat that. But it is one of the more stacked Royal Rumbles in history. It's been pretty deep. So it ought to be very entertaining. So the fourth match on the show was the Pure Fusion Collective, the League of Extraordinary Lesbians, versus Damage Control, which was Dakota Kai and Io Sky, because we gotta have a long Io Sky match on the show too. And Zoe Stark landed probably one of the most vicious springboard drop kicks I think I've ever seen. I mean, she didn't hit her in the face. She got it right in the body. But it knocked the air out of Dakota Kai because she was woozy after that. And she really laid that joint in. Hell of a drop kick. I'm not going to pretend like I watched this match beyond that. But I know Damage Control won the match, of course. In the main event, Seth Rollins defeats Drew McIntyre in a match that was basically the main event of WrestleMania because it felt like it was 30 minutes. He pinned him with a shotgun pin. They did some really good stuff here. In terms of a wrestling match, they really cooked. But there was nothing won, nothing lost. And after the match, Drew McIntyre jumped Seth Rollins. And then Seth Rollins had to be saved by Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn ended up getting beat up by Drew McIntyre. Then Drew McIntyre started barking at Seth about how they should be on the same side because they both hate Roman. I hate Roman Reigns. You hate him too. Don't you hate Roman? I hate him too. And then Sami Zayn tries to give him a haluva kick from behind. But Drew's too smart for that. He dodges it. And he ends up haluva kicking Sami. Sami Zayn ends up haluva kicking Seth Rollins. So there's that. Okay. So he's obviously doing something with Sami Zayn. And I'm talking about Triple H. Where he's going to have Sami Zayn have this issue with CM Punk. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be addressed next week. Where, Sami Zayn's going to approach him like, what was that thing that you said last week about me not being on your level? And it's probably going to end up with them having a match of some kind, which should be fine. And, in terms of people who are big fans of Ring of Honor and all of that, you should really enjoy a Sami Zayn versus CM Punk match. And then they also got Sami Zayn mixed in with Rollins and McIntyre and all these guys. So they are elevating him. The idea that Sami Zayn could win the 2025 Royal Rumble, you know what? I honestly don't hate that idea. I wouldn't pick that as my decision. Like, if you gave me the book, I wouldn't have picked Sami Zayn. But let me tell you, if Sami Zayn wins the Royal Rumble over Roman Reigns and John Cena and CM Punk, you instantly validate that guy. Even if he doesn't win the title, he instantly is validated. I've seen so many people on the wrestling interwebs say that they want to see him wrestle Kevin Owens in the main event of WrestleMania. I don't want that, because I want Kevin Owens to be shot into the sun. So I don't want that at all. For the moment, because you didn't really get that moment with Bryan Danielson or with Mick Foley, that they overcame the odds and won the Royal Rumble, it would be an excellent story for Sami Zayn. And for story purposes, it would be great. And clearly at that point, you have Sami Zayn wrestle, Gunther at WrestleMania or something in a rematch of their Intercontinental Championship match. You could easily do that. Or you could have Sami Zayn versus Cody, but I don't think you would want to do that, right? But it depends on how married you are to building a new star, for stars, especially a new main event star, and what your plans are for WrestleMania. Right now, as I see it, Gunther has no clear opponent for WrestleMania. Not one. No clear opponent. And Sami Zayn, who beat him for the Intercontinental Championship, could be a pretty clear opponent for WrestleMania. It's a story that's already built in, and you've already got the huge underdog win for Sami Zayn. Whatever you do with Cody, you can do that through the Elimination Chamber or through something else. And the same thing with Roman Reigns. None of these people need to win the Royal Rumble. And I'm not saying that Sami should win. I'm saying that it would be a magical moment if he did win. Because sometimes guys like that do need to win those matches. Just like Rey Mysterio won the, what was that, 2006 Royal Rumble? Sometimes the underdog should win the Royal Rumble. And it hasn't happened in a long time. That somebody who is, out of nowhere wins the Royal Rumble. Now, it's not going to be an Alberto Del Rio or a Sheamus kind of situation. This would be like if they would have booked Bryan Danielson / Daniel Bryan to win the Royal Rumble, the year that Batista won it. It would have been the right thing to do, And I know sometimes I give WWE and Triple H a lot of grief for pushing a lot of indie guys who are undersized and all that kind of stuff. But you have to take into account that the audience has an affinity for those people, and that the audience wants to see them succeed. And if you gave me the book, I don't think I would have had Mick Foley beat The Rock twice for the WWE title. I don't think I would have did that twice. Because I never would have saw Foley as the kind of guy who should be beating The Rock. But it took vision to do that. It took vision to get him over. And you had to make a sacrifice. And that sacrifice is The Rock's got to take some losses so that Mick Foley can be made. You got to finish the story that you were telling, with Mick Foley being the ultimate underdog in that situation. Sami Zayn is in that very same boat. Eventually, you got to have Sami Zayn go from being the underdog to being validated. I'm not saying they should do it. I'm just saying that if you do it correctly, it could be something that everybody gets behind. And it could be something that people could go with. Sami Zayn main event at WrestleMania? In a singles match? Sami Zayn going on 5th? Okay, sure, fine. He won the Royal Rumble and maybe he goes on 5th. And Roman and Cody and all those guys are the main event. But he can win the Rumble and be in the upper part of the show. And to be quite honest, if not CM Punk, then yeah, Sami Zayn, sure. But I'm going to go with CM Punk winning the Royal Rumble. I mean, it's too obvious. It's a slam dunk. And it's more than likely going to end up being Punk and maybe Rollins for the title at WrestleMania or whatever. But let me know what you guys think of this show, of Sami Zayn winning the Royal Rumble, of CM Punk winning the Royal Rumble. Do you think Hulk Hogan's going to be in it? Of course he's not. He's 70, right? The show was mid. And the show was always mid, but what else is new?
No one does it better.